Check, 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 check. I told you, don't touch the buttons. I keep telling you, don't touch the buttons. You're the producer, not the technician. We're rolling. Hi, everybody. That joke never gets old. Welcome back. Once again, it is time for... Pika, you forgot the coffee. That is one thing that you're supposed to do. We're still... Hi, welcome back. Once again, it is time for the comics coffee table. Grab a cuppa, whatever it is you're shoving under your nose today there, Pally, tough guys, sizzle chest. This is pre-recorded, but live before a studio audience of my stuffed animals. Oh boy, oh boy. Welcome back. How you doing? Happy September. It's Sunday, it's new release review day, and we've got a show for you. We got a show. Exactly. It's rock and roll. The ubiquitous brown paper bag of new releases from the comic book bodega, from the funny book bodega, the LCS, the local comic book shop. What's in the bag? What's in the bag? We got physical copies. Yeah, we also got a bunch of comic books to talk about too, as well. What we got today? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Marvel comics that I read digitally. And Pika, this is part of your job, setting up the show for success. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 DC comics, and one of them is pretty controversial, and I of course have the most controversial opinion about it. Or is it an anti-controversial? That'll be part of the show, trust me, we'll get there. Thank you so very much for tuning in today and spending your time with us, and we're talking about our hobby, about comic books. Yeah, just for a few minutes in our busy day. Welcome to it. Indeed. We are a geeky chill stream. Yes. We do get outrageous here and there. You know, I feel outrage over certain things. And it's also good because it's a good check-in to be like, why are you getting mad about this? Do you really want to be part of this never-ending battle of just white hats versus bad persons on the internet when it comes to fictions and stuff? Like, I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I got to make my own dedicated video about it, but the outrage over the Star Wars Ahsoka show on Disney Plus, it's literally pathetic. I mean, yeah, and it's a good reason to stay away from that stuff and not be part of it anymore. I mean, I can, as a retired Star Wars viewer, I can just do something else. And I am doing something else. I buy comic books. I read comic books. I accumulate comic books. I sometimes collect them. This is true. I've got physical copies. I've got digital copies to talk about. And we're blessed with a friend of ours who shares with us their digital copies. And I'm reading so many more comic books lately that comics I would never have read before. And it's a good thing. I'm just really happy to be, hey, wow, like this ended up being really good. Or, holy beep, that's awful. Why did you sacrifice a poor tree to print this? Do you paid for someone? You paid? I know I paid for this. Oh, I didn't. I'm glad to not have paid for most of these comic books. That they actually pay people to make these, and that they pay to be produced, and that you pay people to deliver them. Oh gosh. There's a whole supply chain involved in this, Welcome to the coffee table, the coffee table of comic books, the comics coffee table. On this coffee table, there is always a stack of books. The classics, the good stuff, the tragedies and the comedies. The Bard. Dude, this is serious. That's a great collection. I mean, you should like Shakespeare's the shit, yo. There would always be a stack of movies, a stack of music, a stack of video games, and a stack of comic books that we're always trying to get each other to read. Part of the show is also about rebagging, reboarding, and reboxing my entire collection. And along the way, getting an appreciation of grading and of getting your head around what potentially their value could be. And then balance your gnosis, your knowledge with the reality of the dollar boxes at your conventions. I mean, seriously, most of the stuff, if you didn't immediately bag and board it, even if it is bagged and board, it could end up in the dollar bin. Yeah, serious. That's perspective. The dollar bins have given me so much perspective when it comes to buying comics going forward and the husbandry involved, the taking care of, and so. One thing I'm doing, with this bag, board, and boxing show is I'm getting my supplies at my local comic book shop, my LCS. Why? Well, I could be getting them from my online supply chain where I could be getting a discount. But I am literally agreeing to paying the retail markup because that helps keep my local comic book shops open with the most important thing, patronage. Not just buying books, monthly floppies, but buying my bags, my boards, and my boxes. Ah! No, Canadian Bear! You've got so much to live for! So, we're getting back into the swing of things. I've got some boxes. I've got bags. I got boards. Sorry, that's better. I had to fix the Canadian Bear. And by fixing, I don't mean fixing the Canadian. Where would you get that idea? But we're getting boxes, we're getting our bags, we're getting our boards from the local comic book shop. Giving them the business. They're brick and mortar mom and pop shops. They need our business because if they close, they're not coming back. Think of like record stores or the mall toy stores. Stuff like that. It's important to keep shopping and to showing up at these stores and not just relying upon the big box stores and our online supply chains. Seriously, I mean, take it from me. No, you don't have to take it from me. You don't have to take it from anyone. Don't take anyone's guff. Yeah, exactly. I don't take anyone's guff. I don't take it from the Republicans. I don't take it from the Democrats. I don't take it from the liberals and progressives. I don't take it from the conservatives. I'm in the middle. And there's more of us than you people. Seriously. Where did that come from? Pika, you wrote that down? Wow. Your political acumen might be giving us a slant on the show and a bias. People will judge us. Let's get to reviewing this week's comic books. We're going to start with the Marvel books. We're going to mosey over to the DC books, and then we're going to see what I actually spent money on. And then I'm going to spend... straighten up. I'm going to spend supplies and physical space keeping, in these boxes. These boxes that are just, they keep accumulating, and I think maybe they're part bunny. Let's get to it. Alrighty. So for this week, the week of August 30th, the new comic books, we have Blade issue 2. And written by Brian Hill with a penciler, Elena Casagrande, and inkers, Elena Casagrande herself and Roberto Poggi. And then Jordi Belair is the color artist, and then VC's Joe Sabino is the letterer. So this is the best a comic is going to get from me going forward for print publications. It's got traditional pencils, traditional inks, but digital coloring and digital lettering. Therefore, digital onomatopoeia. And we're going to talk about digital onomatopoeia versus authentic, genuine, hand-drawn, artistic onomatopoeia with the physical copies. I have a great example lined up for us that really sums up these feelings. I say it almost in every episode. Onomatopoeia is a word that's spelled the way it sounds, like pow, smash, thwip, snikt, boom, things like that. They're the sound effects in a comic book panel. And the cut and paste, drag and drop, cost saving, time saving techniques used today they're often quite repetitive. They're the same image reused over and over again. And it takes there's a disconnect. Can you see it? It's kind of like bad CGI in a feature length movie. It's like watching just like, you ever watch a Fast and Furious movie? I don't, but I've seen enough clips that, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. Car chase movies you get cars and stuntmen, professional drivers, and you get like eight copies of the same car because you're going to wreck them. They're going to get beat up. And there's this legendary Steve McQueen film called Bullet, where he's racing through the streets of San Francisco. And literally, because the continuity wasn't paid attention to, his car loses 6 hubcaps. Do the math. Wait for it. But let's get back to the comic book. So Blade number 2, Blade is the Daywalker. He's half vampire, half human, Eric Brooks, and he possesses vampiric strength, senses, and longevity, but is able to withstand sunlight. Blade has dedicated his long life to battling supernatural evils, and he's about to face his greatest challenge yet. Indeed. And I really like this issue, too. I came into this issue cold. Like, I am coming into most of these issues pretty much cold. I've never read an issue, and as a lifelong comic book reader, the best thing about a comic is that every issue could be a jump-on spot for a new reader. So there should be, certain, key phrases and even repetitions that it happens, kind of like if you're old X-Men comics, we had these repeated phrases like Wolverine, curb your berserker rage with your adamantium claws, and Scott puts on his ruby quartz glasses to protect the people he loves from his optic blasts, and that was just repeated over and over again, but it was to effect for basically a new reader. We call those info bombs now, little info drops. But Blade 2 was a really good, solid issue, pretty good art, and I really enjoyed it. It had great action scenes. It's sexy. It's well drawn. You can really feel for the just pencils and inks. It's just, but just then it has the modern, I was going to say the stink, but I'll be nice and say the flavor of digital coloring and digital. And I'm not knocking the creators or the artists involved. I will knock the editors and the publishers themselves, because they're doing this to save money, to save time, to insist that this modernity is the way it's going and the new style. And it's just, you literally can't sell me on this. But if this is as a free comic book goes for me, this was really good. I really enjoyed Blade issue number 2. Then let's talk about a really crappy issue. This is Cult of Carnage Misery, issue number 4. It's a $3.99 issue for 20. It says 26 pages, But it's basically 22 pages. The art in this is the original art is awful. It's got one artist and three different color artists. And then there are flashback panels from that are just recycling old art from, just in stories, because it's about Liz Allen, who is she's one of Peter Parker's oldest friends, and she's the widow of Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn's son, Peter Parker's best friend. And she's got symbiote problems, and the art in this is just terrible, and the story is it's kind of just really unreadable, and like this is like a great example of a bad comic book. And lacks of backgrounds, overuse of the stupid Bende zipatone filter. This is poor handiwork, but it justifies my pre-existing notion of, hey, these aren't steaks we're talking about. These are literally Big Macs. Not even big. This wouldn't even be a Big Mac. This would be a White Castle. I mean, you eat 6 White Castles, you know what's going to happen to you, biologically speaking, of course. You're going to have a real crappy morning. There's Death of the Venomverse #3, written by Kellen Bunn. It's got a penciler and inker, so it looks good. Gerardo Sandoval is the penciler. Victor Olazaba and Gerardo Sandoval are the inkers. And then there are 2 backup features in this too. But this was the one that had like Kid Venom having a very messy end last issue. So, bad things happening to kids in comics, just not my thing. You have this thing about Venom symbiotes with black voice bubbles with white lettering. And it looks then Carnage has red voice bubbles with white lettering, and it looks pretty. It must look pretty good. It looks better and more legible, I guess, with a backlit screen, and pretty much all. But this is just it's like the art's pretty good, but once again, it's like I don't know. I hope there's. I hope whoever likes it. There's a Venom flashback with Eddie Brock, written by David Michelini, who wrote the Venom back in the day. This is pretty. It was pretty interesting, and it's just it's all right. And then there's Kid Venom, story and art by Taigami. So this is like a kind of a manga style. And it's pretty much my favorite part of all the Death of the Venomverse books I've read is that Kid Venom, the backup part. This is really fun. Okay, it's Rob Liefeld coming back, and just like Rob is like a great example of like an uncancelable artist. Now you have all this hubbub to do about good persons and bad persons in the comic book industry, and how that if you like the bad persons, that makes you a bad person by adjacency. And wrong. No, but Rob Liefeld is just he's got a controversial opinion. He's outspoken, and he's got like zero filter. And I love the guy. I love his art because it's hammy, it's cheesy, it's superhero-y. I do, it's not. It's out of proportion. It's not like, get over yourself. It's a superhero comic. It's what you're getting when you get a Rob Liefeld book. Or is it Liefeld? But it's called Deadpool Batter Blood. art by art by Rob Liefeld, co-written by Rob Liefeld. It's a story by Rob, script by Chad Bowers, pencils and inks. You see, I get happy about that. See, just reading that makes me happy. Pencils and inks, the tradition, and it's just there's hatchings, there's cross hatchings, there's just I take that over Zipatone filters any day. And it's, even back in the day, you know, the whole dots thing, that was either the coloring and shape of the image itself in pixels, and or the Zipatone, those were Ben Day dots. All right. And then Zipatone's kind of different. Zipatone's like a rub-off transfer that you would use, and it gives you these little dots or or shapes, to give you a different texture and give you something just a little different. But it was a limited resource and it was pricey, so you used it sparingly, and now it's a digital filter, and now it's associated with the look of a comic book. But it's really fun. It's off the wall. It's snarky. It's energetic. And it's completely Rob Liefeld. And I love this. And it's really fun. This was so fun to read. It gave me joy as a comic book fan. There's Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider, written by Howard Mackey. And it wasn't that good. Yeah, we got Daniel Piacotto as the artist, goes right to. It's just this is just why waste the paper on printing stuff like this. Hulk issue number 3. As my therapist says, we're gonna stick a pin in that. We'll get spoilers. We'll get back to that in a minute. We will. Marvel Age 1000. Okay, I was impressed with this. Pretty much every tale in this is good. This is an 85-page special edition comic, with a $9.99 cover price. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's a $9.99 cover price. No ads. All right? And I think this is a good model of where perhaps comics should go. If you can make a quarterly comic like this with no ads at a higher price, but with nothing but A-list talent, this would probably, this could be the future of floppies in a way. I mean, would I be willing to... I would love quality over quantity. And this is just a celebration of Marvel Comics. The issue 1000 means nothing. It's just, creative numbering, because Marvel Age used to be a preview comic book in the 80s. And it would cost 35 cents. And it never came close to an issue 1000. But there are so many good... It's an anthology. And it's really good. Even like there's a Ryan Stegman Spider-Man issue. A story called Sunday Dinner. It's really good. All digital stuff withstanding, but there's more. It started off with like it's got the look of pencils, and inks here. It just looks really nice, and it's a pretty decent story too, and I really like it. And my least favorite one is got to be Rainbow Rowell and Marguerite Sauvage's People Wonder Why, which is a classic X-Men story from, basically X-Men First Class. And it's about Jean Grey. And I don't really... See, I respect Marguerite Sauvage's style. Fine lines, very photorealistic, and, beautiful faces. She's got good form and everything, yet it's just digitalitis. It's not. It's all digital flavored. It's a loss for me off the bat. And it's just not my cup of tea. I'm not gonna bag on it. And Yeah, it's just very, and girls read comics too. Girls need comics too. And this is just about Jean asserting herself, being like, you don't always have to save me because I'm going to save you. But it makes that's rather on the nose, and but it's also about Scott and Jean's blossoming romance and about them figuring that out, like, hey, I think we really like each other, kind of thing. So, it's not bad. Then here comes my favorite, Dan, you slot. But in a classic Captain Marvel, the original real Captain Marvel, the Kree warrior Marvel, who is a man, but we've got art by Michael and Laura Allred. I mean, Michael, those two are just amazing. The art in this is amazing. So the story is passable. It's a decent, it's perfectly typical superhero fare. Dan Slott can write that, and it's fine, and that's the best I'll say about him. But it's got, I always thought there was a romance between Carol Danvers and Marvel, and there wasn't really. I always thought that Carol Danvers got her powers because she was sleeping with Marvel, and it kind of like got any free fluids, one could say, by osmosis. And but the art in this is spectacular. This is all A-list stuff. Like Marvel Age 1000 really brought out their A game here. Adam Kubert does the art for a Daredevil story. Suffers from digitalitis, and bisexual lighting, but good thing Daredevil can't see that. There is something called, it's story and art by Steve McNiven. It's Silver Surfer Deaf Heaven, and this is amazing. It could be worth the price of admission for this. The art in here is so textured, it's so good. It kind of reminds me of Barry Windsor Smith in a way as well. I mean, just this level of detail. It's so beautiful. I love it, and it's just basically Silver Surfer versus the Devil, Mephisto, and it's the strongest story in this. We have a Jason Aaron with Pepe Larraz, who I got turned on to with Mark Miller. This is really good. It's called The Girl Who Hates Superhero, and it's about Jane Foster Thor, and about a girl who lives in New York. She's a typical girl who lives in Manhattan, and she just hates the impact that superheroes has on her life. And by the end of it, she's won over because she actually helps Jane Foster Thor save the day. And I thought that was all right. Then there's a cute one with J. Michael Straczynski and art by the magnificent Kare Andrews, which is whimsical and cute. About a bunch of kids that are supposed to remind us of the original Marvel creators, and it's nice. So overall, Marvel Age 1000 is a really, really good comic book. It could be worth the price, and definitely if that could be with the way comics are going. There's food for thought there. There's conversation there. There's Moon Knight, Contest of Chaos. Annual number 1. It suffers from digitalitis, and that story, sure. Ms. Marvel, the New Mutant, number 1. It's 37 pages, and the first 15 pages of this story is Kamala Khan's dream sequence. Look, I'm not gonna, it's and Iman Vellani, the girl who plays Kamala in the TV show and in the upcoming movie, she co-wrote this issue. So, the best thing I have to say about this book is that I love Kamala Khan's X-Men uniform. I love it. Everything else in this book is not for me. The 15-page dream sequence, and then it's about Kamala leaving home for her freshman year at college, and then the wonderful life of being introduced to activism on a college campus. I'm done with that. All right. I hope whomever this is made for comes out and buys this book. because if like they don't come out and buy this book, that's proof of the pudding being on the plate that who really wants to buy this stuff? Seriously. Spider-Man India #3. Pass. Yeah, it's just, it's, I don't know, not made for me. Star Wars Bounty Hunters, Dark Droids, the Dark Droids mini event, the crossover event. It's like, the Bounty Hunters, and it's a $4.99 comic book for 23 pages, like 22 pages of art and story, and glad I read it for free because it's not that good. There's Star Wars The Mandalorian. This is season 2, issue #3, and it's literally, it's art by George Ante, who is rather hit or miss. And he did such a wonderful job on Buffy the Vampire Slayers, seasons 8 and 9 on Dark Horse Comics. And then it's one of the worst comic books I've ever bought in my entire life, Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne. I think it was issue 4, and it was written by Grant Morrison, and it was one of the worst drawn issues I've ever bought. And I had to find that issue and to complete my run, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for spending the money what I did to complete my run on that. But that's the risks you take when you're a comic book fan and you have a run and you're missing parts of your run. What are you going to do to complete your run? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Well, I have a complete run of that, yeah. But it's literally just it's just the episode, the Heiress, and it's Baby Yoda and Din Djarin, and when Din Djarin meets Bo-Katan. And that's it. It's literally the episode in a comic book form. I don't watch Mandalorian. I don't watch Disney Star Wars. I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. It's not made for me. It should be. Technically, it's supposed to be. But, I mean, Disney Star Wars, this is off-brand. It's off-recipe. And that's that. We have Ultimate Invasion, 40 pages, for $5.99. See, its first issue was a $9.99 issue. That was a little extra thick. I didn't read issue 2, so I'm completely confused here. This is a 4-issue series. It was written by Jonathan Hickman, who's bringing back a new Ultimate Universe. Pencils by Brian Hitch, inks by Andrew Curry, and colors by Alex Sinclair. It's a beautiful comic book. It is so well drawn. Like I say, pencils, inks, you've got my attention. Seriously, you've got my, I get a smile just with that classic combination. But yeah, I'm a little lost for words here in a way. I could, if I only read issue 2, this would make more sense. This new universe that the maker, Evil Reed Richards, made is officially 6160, and it's a new place with familiar faces, and it wasn't a good place to jump on, but it's not. It's written for the trade, so really confounding story. I wasn't too interested in it in the first place, but beautiful art, and drawn by the guy that did the original Ultimates with Mark Miller, Ultimates 1 and 2. The visual inspiration for the MCU and the Avengers movies. Hello, but kind of a confusing mess, and but hey, it was free. And I just don't understand the world built here. It's hard to get into. Then, the last Marvel comic of the week is Weapons of Vengeance Part 3. Wolverine, issue 36, written by Benjamin Percy. Artist Jeff Shaw. Goes right to a digital colorist. So, yep, bisexual lighting and digitalitis. Hello. And yeah, comics should be fun. This isn't that fun, but it kind of is. It's a horror comic, and so it's reminiscent visually of old John Constantine Hellblazer comics, and Swamp Thing. That kind. So it's got that tone to it, and I just didn't. It's just I'm not having any fun with it. It's yeah. It's we given Wolverine a demonic kind of upgrade called Hellverine, and just whatever. And that's the Marvel comics this week. Let us get to Let us get to the DC comics. DC Comics. All right, I read actually 5 of the 6. I didn't read Joker, One Operation Joker number 5, which is a manga. I'm opening it now, yeah. And it's a manga, and it's a manga, and it's a manga. It's Joker with a baby, and that's it. You know what I mean? And Joker playing daddy, and I'm glad I looked at it. The Action Comics presents Doomsday Special number 1. That was pretty okay. Eddie Barrows did the art. It's basically Martian Manhunter and Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, going to hell to confront Doomsday, who is, trying to take over hell from the First of the Fallen. Speaking of John Constantine Hellblazer. And the art in this is pretty good. You got pencils, legit pencils by Eddie Barrows, and that just makes me happy. Pencils, inks. It's art. Yeah. We've got Nort's Illustrated Swimsuit Edition number 1. It's I think this is how much is this? It's $5.99, and first page. It's 51 pages, so it's about 50 pages. It's basically, there's 2 stories in here. One's about a girl's day at the beach with Huntress, Poison Ivy, Black Canary, Vixen, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and they foil Penguin's nefarious plans, and everyone's wearing a bikini. Sure, but the artist doesn't know how to draw feet. So, and I'm not admitting any kind of toe thing, and that doesn't matter. How do it's more of like you are drawing people on a beach with bikinis and you can't draw feet well. But hey, what am I supposed to have, an opinion? And then the other story is a Midnighter Apollo story, which opens on what appears to be, a gay beach, which is all well and good. I'm all for gay people. I have gay people in my life and in my family. In my jobs and everything. You have gay people too. All right. Don't tell me you don't. But it would have been better served in a Pride magazine or like with a Pride banner or something. And every page besides that are just reprints of the swimsuit covers that came about earlier this summer on all the DC variants. I almost got suckered into this for $7.99 with a really nice cheeky Power Girl variant cover, and I'm glad that I saw this, because this changed my mind. This digital copy for free changed my mind on that. I saved a couple of bucks and a slot in my collection by not buying this, and because it's not worth it. It really isn't. This is why? Sheesh. Night Terrors, Nights, and God, This is a comic book that defines what I hate about modern comic books. It's not. I'm all for different people, different lifestyles, and different. I'm an iconoclastic maverick, an outcast. I'm an outlaw. I'm a offbeat. I'm on the beat of my own drummer. I've had gay people in my family. I have. I've had all kinds of friends, and I love all kinds of people. It was just, I like girls, but I mean, like in a spiritual way. Agape, philia, and storge, and but this is bisexual lighting. What is bisexual lighting? I keep mentioning that. It's a derisive term used in my YouTube spheres, and it's a combination of pink, blue, and purple. And it's everywhere in comics. It's everywhere in advertising, and it's some of the major color themes of some particular pride flags. And so, by using that term bisexual lighting, I'm not being misanthropic, misogynist, misandrist, or phobic of anyone's identity or lifestyle choices. It's just a derisive term that we use to say, look, more bisexual lighting. Let's hear it. Hey, look, there it is again. And another one. And another one. And this has got such I know it's supposed to be dreamlike and a nightmare, but it's just, 1, the overuse of zipatone filters. 2, really bad art. 3, bisexual lighting. 4, just not a great story. It kind of like proves the point that Joshua Williamson is a really decent comic book writer, superhero writer, but can't land the plane. And this is just digital littering, digital onomatopoeia, everything about this issue. This is a great example of what I dislike in modern comics. And what a way to end this show. And not this show. I mean, and the ending of this is a setup for the next event. What was the setup for in the end of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths? For the next event. So this is just event to event to event. Oh no, I mean, I no thanks. I'm glad I'm not tuned into it. All right. And there's Riddler Year 1, issue number 6. It was written by Paul Dano, who played the Riddler in the Matt Reeves The Batman movie. So this is a Black Label, not out of continuity Riddler story, and it's decent. It looks great, and but I was never tuned into it in the first place. So I'm saving the best till last. All right, and this is my controversial pick, and this is my controversial opinion, and this is probably the most controversial one out there this week. I'm gonna get a lot of crap from my sphere and my friends for this, but I liked, for the most part, Batman Catwoman, The Gotham War, Battle Lines, number 1, written by Chip Zdarsky and Teenie Howard, and art by Greg Hawthorne. Let's see. The art is what gets me on this, okay? Because it's pencils and inks. There are no zipatone filters. So it's pencils by Mike Hawthorne, inks by Adriano Di Benedetto, and colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr. And the cover, a really nice cover by Jorge Jimenez. Now, Mike Hawthorne's style took a lot of getting used to in this issue. He doesn't draw Selina Kyle very sexy or very pretty. She's not pretty in this. And traditionally, well, Selina Kyle is to Bruce Wayne as Yennefer is to The Witcher, Geralt. I mean, beautiful women, legendary beauty, who use their femme fatales, who use their allure, their savoir-faire, their femininity, and their beauty as a weapon against a guilesome man. It's a great, that is a, Catwoman, Selina Kyle, is a classic femme fatale. But there's room in here for saying, oh my goodness, the messaging. Oh, the messaging. Oh, look at all the lefty progressive hippie messaging in here. And so I'll give you that much. There is room for that. But I saw something you might have gotten overlooked, and I'll get to that. But the art it's just classic pencils and inks. It's hatchings and cross hatchings, and I'm used to DC superhero comics sometimes having clunky artwork. It was in on the 80s and 90s and 2000s. I mean, it just, some of that artwork and just in some of the books weren't the best, but they look all right. I mean, they're superhero comics, okay? We're not talking Shakespeare here. We're talking Batman and Catwoman. So in the aftermath of Night Terrors, after being possessed by Dead Man, Bruce Wayne's body kind of shuts down. He goes to sleep, and he's been asleep. He's not in a coma. He's just been asleep for 8 weeks, letting his body recuperate from the latest thing he's been to. But when he wakes up, things in Gotham have changed a little bit. Crime is down. And Catwoman, Selina Kyle, she had an idea. And that was to recruit all the former goons and henchmen of the Riddler, of Joker, of Two-Face, her own, men and women, and anyone in between, and train them how to escape and how to break in and how to steal. And she's got rules. A caper is not worth your life or anyone else's. No, so she's got her own no killing rule. All right. And the thing is, she's only going to steal from the rich, and some kind of, misguided Robin Hood, thing going on. So it sets up the Gotham War between Batman and Catwoman, who we all know were supposed to have gotten married, and they've broken up, and now it's coming to a head. So you got this, and one, bisexual lighting. Again, it's on the cover and it's in the book, but only for a few pages. Like, Catwoman has this big meeting with the Bat family in Penguin's old club. So everything in the club is that pink, purple, blue lighting. And where she gives Batman an ultimatum: you give us a pass, or no questions asked. And Batman's like, no, that's not the mission, and there is, and Batman is now, Batman is kind of, to sound unfair, he's a bit triggered. Okay, because here comes, I think, a conservative note, or it may or may not be, but this is how I interpreted it as. So at least you have some kind of ideological balance. At the end of this issue, there's just one of the goons are breaking into a flat of someone that's not supposed to be home. So the lady stayed behind, and nobody knew it. But she's an Asian lady, and she's home alone. And so the robber is up there, and she's like, looting the place, and then she walks into the room with a gun in her hand. Says, "Don't shoot, hole, or don't you move, or I'll." And the guy's got, and she shoots him and kills him. And so what I see in here, and so when Bruce sees that, he's like, I knew this goon, Roland Garner, worked for Freeze, Riddler, single father making bad choices. Everyone's making bad choices, and now this father is dead, leaving an orphan. I'll fight you all if I have to. The mission's been tainted. We stop crime. We stop crime because we're Batman. But the lighting enters, well, to call it bisexual lighting at this point, it's a little bad because Batman's been literally fighting with Zur-En-Arrh, his backup personality. In case something happens to his Bruce Wayne persona, he's got a backup personality called the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. And so I think this has got more to do with how crazy Zur-En-Arrh is over, I think that's got a lot to do with it. So perhaps the end of it's going to be, the end of the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. But seeing this, dead body for gun violence triggers Bruce. I mean, there's just too much emphasis on trauma and not on resilience and about letting trauma dictate your behavior and your choices. I mean, that's not the point of getting better. That's not it at all. Ask your therapist. But one thing I did see was you had a woman alone in her apartment, and she protected herself. She had a gun, and she used it to protect her home. So there's some kind of passive, and I have seen gun violence. When I was 15 years old, I saw a woman and her infant baby get gunned down. It was a family squabble over money. And, I saw that happen. So I'm kind of like Batman like that. Like, guns are for the enemy. Guns, that famous panel from Dark Knight, and he smashes the rifle. And he's just like, these are the tools of the enemy. We don't use guns, and so I'm with Batman. But I do believe in the Second Amendment, because if you disarm the citizenry, it's easy to disarm legal citizens. It's harder to disarm the bad guys. And if you disarm the citizens, all the bad guys are going to keep their weapons. And the armed citizens, are they or are they not keeping those armed bad guys kind of at bay? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. That's a discussion. Not for this channel, but I see something a bit more perhaps pro-gun here. You have a vulnerable woman alone in her apartment. She was able to defend her life and her property from a burglar. And so I think that there's a mixed message there, and I like that. I approve of that. Because it's evoking conversation. It really is. Alrighty, it's time to get to the funny books that I bought at the Funny Book Bodega this week. Indeed. And thank you so much if you've been for hanging on this long. What's in the bag? What's in the bag? Pika, what new releases do we have? What? You have an announcement to make? Okay. Really? All right. Pika said you should tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. and see if we have a show for you this week. Yeah. Tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. Yeah, that's what he says. He's got show notes for the month. Apparently, he wants the daily show back. So we're gonna do the daily show again. Yeah. All right. Let us sort these real quick. Oh wow. We got some good comic books this week. Let's start off with The Incredible Hulk number 3. I've read this digitally, and I bought it. Dude, this is a variant cover. I like that cover a lot. Isn't that cool? And these are the opening pages, the John Romita tribute. The inside cover. So we got 3 pages. And then the credits. This is a Frank Miller cover. Oh, this is the Frank Miller cover. Oh, cool. Ain't that cool? Yeah, let's look at that cover some more. That's the Frank Miller cover. The variant cover. So happy I got that one. But the art in this is really good. But I want to point some things out to you. That is authentic and genuine onomatopoeia. That is authentic and genuine onomatopoeia. That was drawn by hand by the artist as part of the art. Can you see that? Can you feel that? Can you hear that? Okay, now here's your juxtaposition. That crick, those are cut and paste onomatopoeia. These are hand-drawn onomatopoeia. Croom. All this smashing. All this, the sound of the carnage that Hulk leaves behind him. Beautiful. And look, but it's organic. It's part of the art. It has the organic line. It has a feel. It fits and it belongs. And it's got texture. And it's got it's part of the image. Look at that. That is what I am talking about when I say onomatopoeia. And when I make the comparison to the synthetic digital onomatopoeia that's just cut and pasted, dragged and dropped into a GIF file. This is what I'm talking about. Real, authentic. Look at that. It's part of the splat. Sploosh. Look at that. That's art. Everything else of that digital drop and drag, cut and paste. Look at all of this beautiful art. Look at that. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. And that is what I'm talking about as well. That's cut and paste. That's drag and drop. That's coding. That's not art. That's just getting the job done. But this is a great example of a well-drawn comic book. Good art, great art, good story. I mean, makes up for the previous issue where there was it was all Banner and no Hulk. Yeah, this is pretty darn good. So we have issue 6 of Hunt, Kill, Repeat, completing this volume. This is really good. This is Greek mythology meets Kill Bill on Mad Cave Comics, Teen Plus, $4.99 an issue. So this cost me $30 altogether. I wonder if the trade paperback will cost $30. Let's wait and see. Let's put a pin in that and see if how that comes out. But Mark London, the author, I heard him on Twitter, and I responded to him telling him that this might be my pick of the year because this was a complete surprise to me. I picked it up off of my new release shelf at my LCS, my local comic book shop, on a whim, and I've been enjoying it ever since. The story, the chapter lands, it's all right, and there will be more. And I'm looking forward to that. That's the best news I've heard, that there will be more of this comic book, more of this story told. This is great. I really enjoyed this. It's independent. It's a small press, and it's going to be in my top 5, if not already. It's currently my #1 comic of the year. It was very impressive. I really liked it a lot. Now, I got this because I am a huge Howard Chaykin fan. Howard Chaykin's been in the business 50 years now. He drew the first couple of issues of Marvel Star Wars back in 1977. He also did American Flag, which was kind of controversial. Black Kiss, which was definitely controversial and sexy and gender bending too, and not appropriate for young viewers. And I snuck as many looks as I could at Black Kiss. He restarted DC's attempt at The Shadow in the late 80s. Howard Chaykin he did the Blackhawks. He's done so much work, and he's very controversial too. He's very brash. And this is something he's doing on Alien Books. Now, this is Alien Books. Will be publishing Valiant Comics going forward, I believe. And this is a $9.99. These are $10 comic books. We were talking about comic books. We were talking about $10 comic books earlier, and the future of the floppy. This could be it. This is great. This is 2 parts. It's and it's deliciously problematic. Really, it's just like an old-fashioned buddy comedy with, racial and ethnic stereotypes of an antediluvian age, specifically 1913. And Howard Chaykin has written the story and it does the art, and it has its digital flavoring to it because but it's Howard Chaykin art. He draws sexy women. He draws masculine men. He draws over the top of fight scenes. But these backgrounds, the cities, just like he draws old New York City. He draws old Los Angeles. He just, it's about Italian mobsters, and it's about Jewish movie producers, and it's about a white guy who's a secret union forming communist, and his his friend of color who tries to pass himself off as Native American, and all the bad, problematic racial stereotypes and language that go along with this kind of antediluvian era, this bygone era, but it's funny, and it sounds like real people, not fake modern just like antiseptic cleaned up talk that it's this. There's ball busting involved, and they go for each other's skin and guts. It's really well done. And I love Howard Chaykin's art. I think he's just like I said, this suffers from its own kind of, the onomatopoeia here is definitely drop and drag, and all the filters used for the designs of the clothes and stuff. I think it's a bit of a distraction, but the voice bubbles in here use font as a way of delivering accent. So any of the Jewish movie producers, everything is written in a kind of Hebrew-esque script. Anyone from England is written in some like old English, block, it's the font, the stereotypical font. Anyone German has this German style of font. It's lampooning, our checked feelings. It's going. It really does. It just, I think this is deliciously problematic. I love Howard Chaykin's art. I'm really having a good time reading this. This is a guilty pleasure. This is like an exploitation film. Exploitation films was a genre onto its own. This is an exploitation comic book, and it's kind of like Baz Luhrmann meets Quentin Tarantino, as Howard Chaykin says in the foreword here, and that if Baz Luhrmann and Quentin Tarantino can ham up and play with the past, he can too, and it works. And I really enjoy this. Plus, $10, great paper stock, great cover stock, no ads, and like I said, it's a decent price point for a really good magazine, for a really good floppy. And is this the future of the floppy? It could be. It really could be. Wouldn't surprise me. Issue 2 of Gru the Wanderer, Gru Into the Wild, drawn by Sergio Aragonés of Mad Magazine. This is written by Mark Evanier. It's written by Sergio Aragonés and Mark Evanier, but it's lettered by Stan Sakai. I love this. Everyone's raving about their favorite barbarian, Conan. Give me Gru over Conan. I know everyone loves Conan. I do too, to an extent, but I was never a big Conan the Barbarian fan. But I love Gru the Wanderer. I grew up on Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine kept me company as a kid and overnights in the hospital because of my asthma. Comic books did as well. But Mad Magazine was a staple of my childhood. And then came Gru in the mid-'80s. It's stupid. It's funny. It's fun. It's a fun book. This is a fun comic book. Sign me up. I like fun in my funny books. I really do. I got this. This is interesting. This is Sean Gordon Murphy's The Plot Holes, issue number 1. He originally put this on Kickstarter, I think, about 2 years ago, and he got a lot of crap too because he's a very successful mainstream comic book writer and artist. So why is he putting something on Kickstarter or the crowdfunding circuit when he gets regular gigs? Well, it's because this is his story and his independent, he couldn't get this published at DC or Marvel, This is something he did on his own, and he's a comic book publisher. He knows a lot about comics. He actually, when he teaches students, he also tells them about contracts and the financial parts of it, things that they don't teach you in art school, things that are very important to an aspiring comic book professional. Just important things. And I love Sean Gordon Murphy. Every time I've met him at a convention, he's always nice to talk to. He'll talk to you for a couple of minutes. He's very approachable. He's a very cool dude. He lives up in Maine, which is just 2 hours away from us here in Massachusetts. And he's a really cool dude, and I support him. This was on Massive Comics. Yeah, so I'm supporting independent comics as well by doing this. Great art, decent story. I'm a big fan of Sean Gordon Murphy, and I'm really happy to see this on shelves, and very happy to see something that was on a crowdfunder end up on the shelves at a local comic book shop, because I'm always wondering and worried, how is crowdfunding going to help the direct market? And couldn't there be an affordable version of the book that's not the huge collector copy that you get from the crowdfunding sources? Well, here it is. And I'm really happy. Yeah, $3.99. And this was fun. It didn't suck. It's pretty good. Like I said, fun in my funny books. And we only got a couple of issues left here. I went through the back issue bin. I got these for $1 each. Because I love ads. Look at the video game ads. Where do they go, huh? By Wolfman and Perez. New Teen Titans, number 39. Cover dated of February 1984. Released December of 1983. I just turned 11 years old. I had this book. I forgot about this book. This is great. This is the last issue of Robin, of Dick Grayson Robin. This is where he takes off his Robin costume. And he's Robin no more. Look at this beautiful George Perez art. Hey, look, ads. Ancient. That's Tara. Tara Markov. Aw. And they weren't ever short pants. That was a tunic over his gymnast onesie. And also in the same issue too, Kid Flash leaves the Teen Titans. Seriously. Wally's having problems with his speed. And this is also the big reveal leading into the Judas contract. So that's Tara Markov. Notice with the George Perez theme of focusing on the eye and the iris, that she's wearing a camera contact lens. And this is, I forgot about this. This is the reveal of Slade Wilson, Deathstroke the Terminator. And he's in a relationship with the teenager. So I don't know how old Tara's supposed to be here. I think she's playing a 15-year-older, but I don't think she's really 15. I think she's probably a little older than that. But these two are definitely, they're in cahoots, and they're in bed together. It's a great single issue. Look at this. Yeah, for your Atari. It's I love X-Men issues from this era. This is great. This is the wedding of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor. This got art by Paul Smith and by John Romita Jr. I mean, these are X-Men comic books to me. This is great. I really enjoyed this. Oh. Scott marries the clone of his dead loved one. Oh man. But yeah, Paul Smith did the first 29 pages. And John Romita Jr. did the final 8 pages. Louise Jones, editor. I told you about that. She's Louise Simonson. Those are going to look great in my spinner rack. And my pick of the week. The annual Local Man Gold. The flip book. No, this is the Deathmate trade dress. Deathmate was a 1993 universe crossover between Valiant Comics and Image Comics. And they, instead of having issue numbers, they had color. They were known by color. It was Deathmate Black and Deathmate Red, Deathmate Silver, Deathmate Yellow, Deathmate Puce, Deathmate Orange, Deathmate Ultramarine, Deathmate Infra Blue. Just kidding. But this is great. It's Local Man and washed up superhero who got kicked out of his team. He has to go home to his hometown and live with his parents. And this is about time travel, and he remembers, oh, this is the time where I met when my younger self met my older self. And so it's him back in his heyday as Crossjack getting spirited away to the future and meeting himself and being like, oh no, I grew up to be such a loser. It's funny. It's well drawn. I love how evocative this is of that early 90s heyday of Image Comics. And Local Man is probably, it's also in my top 5 of favorite comics for this year already. It's Local Man is great. If you like Image Comics, if you love superhero comics, it's inventive because it's a flip book. It takes advantage of the medium, and it's one part. It's set in the past in this very iconic art style. Like it's just great, and it plays with the trope of multiverse and ripping apart reality, and then going to the now. Just like the art change and the tone change, and it's just fun. And all of these superheroes that they make up, this is worth it. I'm so in love with this comic book. We got to wrap it up the show. We've been talking about comic books, haven't we? And we're going to hopefully be talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So pull up a chair, grab a cuppa, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern daily? Yeah, we're going to try to get back into the swing of things. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out about who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily, we're going to try to go back to making daily content. It's a chore. It really is, but it's worth it because I love these conversations that we have together in the live chat premiere and in the comment section. Keep this comic book shop style conversation going. Only we can. Let's have some joie de vivre about our hobby. Let's embrace what's to and be embraced. Let's find things to love, and let's try to keep it on the positive side as much as we can. There's enough negativity out there. Let's try to escape. Come with me and escape. Boom, boom, boom. Do 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 do. Thank you so very much. We also talk about cooking. I'm a professional chef. I want to share delicious, nutritious, and beautiful cooking hacks with you. And we talk about spirituality often. I'm an ordained minister. The super Om, the super mantra. Om. We talk about gratitude, purpose, spirituality. often. And so, yeah, we try to keep it on the positive here. So thank you so very much. Please, if you haven't already, turn on those notifications, ring that bell, smash that like button, and subscribe. That would be awesome. You have a wonderful day. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.